What's up guys, it's Rowan here from ATAR Smart TV. And during the HSC, one of the big focuses can be on an ATAR, making sure that you get the ATAR to get into the goal university degree that you have in mind. Now, it can obviously as well be incredibly stressful to navigate that, and also really disappointing if at the end of the journey you get an ATAR that is below your guaranteed cutoff. But today I want to share a story with you and interview someone that was able to get into their goal university course despite having an ATAR over 20 points below the guaranteed cutoff. That's right, over 20 points below. And so we're going to find out today exactly how you can also do that in our conversation with Tom, who navigated and overcame that exact challenge. So welcome, Tom. How are you going?
Hey, Rowan. I'm good. Yeah, all good.
Awesome. Good to hear. Now, I'd love just to ask you a question. How did you end up going with your ATAR for your HSC?
If I could sum it up in one word, awfully. I did really bad in the ATAR, in the whole HSC system. But the problem is my motivation never ended. So I just kept working and stuff and, just went through.
Awesome. And so, do you feel comfortable sharing what the ATAR actually was?
It was 58.3 actually.
Wow. So, in that sense, was it a surprise when you got it, or did you see it coming?
Yeah. Well, the problem is what really discouraged me is when I woke up and the ATAR marks came out pretty early. So I was up at like 5 and they came like 5:10 or something like that. And the marks were good. I felt pretty good about the marks. So I thought, okay, I'm going to get like a 78 ATAR maybe. And I opened my phone when I was actually in Kmart and I had like 58. And I was just like, what happened here? So yeah, that wasn't the best. But
the good thing in this is that while, if we just looked at that on its own, it might be like, uh-oh, I'm screwed. Like, what courses am I going to get into? What degree has a cutoff that's 58? Yeah. I think ultimately, you're going to be studying this year at Macquarie University. What course have you got an offer for?
Bachelor of Commerce and Bachelor of Arts.
Which was your goal degree, is that correct?
Yeah, that's the one I wanted. So,
which is fantastic.
Yeah, Macquarie really helped me with that. So, I got that actually pretty early.
So to highlight that, right? Yeah. The cutoff for that course is what, 80?
Yeah, 80, around there, like 82 or something like that.
So there's at least a 20-point difference. You got a 58, you got an 8, and the cutoff was an 80. Yeah. Now, how did you get in then? What did you do? What did Macquarie offer you that made that possible?
Well, I basically just sat down one night and just thought, if I don't do this, I'm not going to get in. So, better start early. So I waited and I waited and I waited, and the second early entry came out, pretty sure within the hour, I had already applied. So what I did before that offer came out, I wrote the letter, I took the photo, I wrote everything in there. I got my LinkedIn resume all done, I got my CV done, and I just submitted it the second it was available. And I feel like that's literally the only reason I got it. So
because you were just right on top of it.
So organisation is key.
Awesome. So it sounds like in your case there was an intentional strategy. It was like, look, my results aren't looking as good as, this HSC thing's it's not for me. I learn in a different way. You recognise that. So you went, okay, if I'm going to get into uni for the course I want to do, I need an alternate pathway. 100%. Early entry being it. And so it was like, great, the strategy is let's make sure I'm prepped for early entry. Mm-hmm. Now, what I'd love to find out is, what do you think? Obviously, timing was important. You said that you were right on top of it. You got it in ASAP. Yep. Outside of timing, what do you think you put in your application that stood out for Macquarie that was a factor in you getting an offer?
Experience. That's the big thing. So I ran a couple businesses throughout school. Life was pretty hectic in school, as you can guess, I'm sure. And I wasn't the most organized kid. I was having a lot of psychological problems and stuff, and I just wasn't really feeling the school, So I spent that time working on businesses, getting jobs. I'm pretty sure I spent a day on Seek at one point because I was just looking for all these jobs. And I got turned down by a lot of companies because I didn't have the experience. So I thought, what the hell am I doing? I got to get the experience. So I got qualifications, I got my health certificate, I got my barista certificate, I just got everything I could. And then I went to every single store in Hornsby that was hiring and a lot of the stores that weren't hiring that I just put my application in. And I got picked up by a couple in my suburb and stuff in Hornsby, and that was really great. That really motivated me. So I worked hard on my businesses. I took everything I learned in the businesses I worked for and I put them in my own. and then I kept them confidential for a bit. So now, today, I'm starting the businesses, working everything to go, all from what I learned in school.
And so just to highlight then, what did you end up putting in your application? What were because obviously it's, you know, about your extracurricular leadership, those sorts of things, right, that you put in the application.
So
what were the things that you wrote in that? So you put cadets in there?
Martial arts training. I've been practicing Taekwondo for 12 years, and that is a specific discipline level. So that's leadership and discipline, and that I feel like is where I got pretty much all my values from. So I put that in there.
So you were able to write it in the application as a current continuing commitment that you had done for 12 years consecutively, which is really amazing.
And the funny thing is, like, in the application, it's not just the experience, it's also your story. So I've been through quite a bit in my life. I don't tell many people, right? But when you start at the beginning, you kind of develop this whole motivation. And I had in my head, instead of, like, the thing that boosted my confidence and motivation was, I have to get this job. I can't settle for mediocre anymore, because I failed all my life, right? But I can't, and I've like leashed off my parents and friends and stuff because that's all I have, right? So my mindset was not, I should get a job, or I should have money, or I should do this, I should do that. It was, I have to do this. If I don't do this, I'm not going to make it. And that's just my, now, even so, like, I have to make the business. I have to rock up to this interview. You know what I mean? Yeah, so that's it.
That's awesome. So then you put in cadets, you put in, you know, Taekwondo. What else did you know, because it's usually, you know, 3 or so things, so work experience. So
working in IGA and stuff like that. Like,
awesome.
Yeah.
And so again, all of these things were things that you were doing and maintaining over the course of years 11 and 12. So you didn't quit them, you kept them, and it sounds like in the end, by keeping them, they were the things that enabled you to then get the offer to get into the degree. So the irony is the non-academic stuff is the thing that got you into the degree that you wanted when your academics weren't up to scratch.
Exactly. I feel like if I had to say the comparison between the academics and the co-curriculars, most definitely I would say the co-curriculars got me that application, because I didn't put any previous marks in there. They had no access to my old marks. All they had was the ATAR. And I got the entry certificate before my ATAR came out. They didn't even ask for my year 11 results, which were horrible, right? So I guess the whole concept of what the leadership program is what brought me in, because they saw a leader maybe. So just having the initiative to build that kind of experience and build that type of confidence in your life, the confidence to go to as many stores as you can, talk to any random person on the street. If you keep building that and you keep like pushing towards your goal and have that desperation mentality, I feel like you can do anything.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
Now, did you get any support in helping with the early entry applications? Did you just go and do it yourself?
My career advisor in Barker, I started going to him in year 9, and I had like bi-weekly sessions with him for that. So that's the early starting type thing.
Cool. And so you were starting then just thinking about co-curriculars and what were you doing? That's very, very forward thinking. And so then what do you think, you're giving advice to students that, you know, are equally wanting to apply for early entry, they're worried about what their ATAR might look like, so they're looking really at an alternate pathway and a plan B. What advice would you be giving them about how they should manage their own early entry application? 2
things then. Don't be worried, be desperate. So work towards your goal. Don't be scared of your goal. So if I was to say, you know what, I should get early entry, but I probably won't, or I should get early entry, but I'm scared to try, I wouldn't have gotten it. It's got to be like, I need to get early entry because if I don't, I have nowhere else to go. But you just got to remember that university is in the end, school is in the end. What you do with your life is the end. The ability of you to be motivated towards your goal, if you lose that because you left school, you're screwed, in my opinion. Like, who's going to start a business? Who's going to go get a job if they have that mentality? And then the other thing would be organization. So for example, a very specific technique I used was Google Calendar, and I put everything in my life, from brushing my teeth to going to bed, right? I have walk the dog in there as well now. But like, if you include those type of safe measures to organize your life, right? Like, the journal is good, but you don't always have a journal with you. Everyone has a phone, it seems, right? So if you can kind of become savvy with that and stick to it, like, for example, a morning and night routine is a big thing. Like going to bed at, for example, I wake up at 5:40 every day and I go to bed at 9:40. And that keeps you in a cycle and I'm always awake, I find. So if you could work on those kind of like putting yourself in a schedule and not ignoring it, life will just hand itself to you.
And so then, you know, just to unpack, it sounds like 1, you know, start early if you're looking for early entry. 2, it sounds like, you know, maintain co-curricular, extracurricular, because if you didn't have that stuff, you wouldn't have been able to put it in. 3, really want it, you know, and don't persuade yourself that you're not going to get it. Yeah, right. So make sure that you get it in there and you put it in there. Anything else in terms of, did you write multiple drafts and get feedback? You know, like.
Yeah, like I spent most of my time just writing drafts, just writing in general.
Awesome. So it was really refining it. So there wasn't this idea of I'm going to submit the first thing. It was like write it, get multiple feedback, work on it, really for your early entry. Now, did you apply anywhere else? Did you get any other early entry offers, or was it just Macquarie, or did you look at a couple of other places?
Yeah, no, I did. I got a UTS one, ironically, which is weird, but I got it for sound design. I was bachelor of sound design or something else, right? So so I decided to go to Macquarie. I got an ICMS. I got really far in the entry process. I was like right at the end, and then the price just kind of threw me off. So Macquarie was the best tailored experience.
That's awesome. So in the end, you had 3 early entry offers. Yeah. And Macquarie was the best fit. And so I think what's really great to hear there is, for students that maybe are watching this, maybe you're watching this and you're feeling a little unmotivated, I think what's really powerful is to hear that, you ended up with a 58 point something ATAR, which, if you look at traditional, guaranteed entry for courses, there's not that many courses at some of the, the universities that students are really seeking to study at that have an ATAR cutoff that's low. Yeah. But despite that, you ended up getting 3 offers. For in 2 cases, Macquarie and UTS, 2 very well-known, very globally respected universities, which I think is really awesome to hear. So congratulations.
Thank you.
That's really exciting. Do you have any final feedback for students navigating the early entry pathway? Like they're not doing so well at school and they're thinking about early entries. Any final tips or suggestions for them?
Don't give up. I would say that definitely. Don't give up. It's not a good thing, right? You got to climb that mountain, right? No one stops at base camp when they're climbing Everest, right? You don't achieve your goal. And the HSC, I would say, is a mountain. Applying for unis is a mountain. But if you can climb that, you climb the next mountain.
So in other words, just don't give up.
Don't give up, yeah. And don't listen to people. Don't listen listen to your parents, listen to teachers, listen to family and stuff like that. But don't take what they say to heart, right? Take it, process it, and then do it. Don't just take it, process it, and sit there thinking about it. Just do it. Yeah.
I think what's interesting is, given some of the results that you were getting during the year, I think it would have been very easy for you to give up. How did you stay committed? Because it's easy to say, don't give up. Yeah. It's easy to say, there's other stuff that's more important. Yeah. Practically though, it's hard to do, right? So how did you, despite the fact that you were getting results that were just, not looking great, how did you stay motivated and keep on not giving up and staying the course?
I will say, before year 12, it was kind of hard. Like, I didn't really want to share my emotions with people. I kind of just kept it all bottled up, and that was probably the worst thing, because at home I was having outbursts. I was always getting mad and stuff, and just overall aggressive. But then in year 12, as soon as I started talking about it, everything went away. So that kind of kept me motivated in a way. Having a good friend group as well. But you have to remember that everything in high school isn't forever. You have to kind of let things go. And that's what motivated me in a way.
And then a final question on this, and then we'll wrap this, is, how did ATAR Smart help with the journey of early entry?
Well, I went to ATAR Smart for English, but after, my second lesson, this became so much more. This became like a safe haven. So I remember one time when, in year 11, when I was upset, I came here for support, and I got so much support from you, Rowan, from my mentor, from everyone here. It's just like a little safe haven for me to go when I had nowhere else to go, right? And then here is also where I learned to be organized. Here is also where I learned to be happy, right? Because it's just like a positive environment. So not only did the tutors help me for my English, right, and which boosted it, I feel, and gave me a broader understanding, but also I got a broader understanding on life. Right, so I can manage. For example, I remember I was asking my tutor how to manage your money, right? How to kind of invest in things, how to stay positive, how to be organized. That's the mentality I developed here, and that's why ATAR Smart helped me so much.
Thanks, great to hear, Tom.
Yeah, awesome. Great to hear.
Any final comments about navigating early entry?
Don't let it consume you. Don't let it intimidate you. Right? You hit a wall, you push through it. Right? You don't hit a wall and hit a wall. You just gotta do it.
Great, so there you guys have heard it. It is possible, despite getting, an ATAR up to 20 points below the cutoff, to still get entry into your dream course. I think the key thing that Tom has shared here is that you need to have a plan for early entry. If you're not, doing so well, you really want to, think ahead and go, what are the early entry options available? UTS, Macquarie, whatever the universities are, and put your applications in, because it's only by being organised you're going to be able to get the applications in time, so that you can be like Tom 3 different offers, 3 different organisations, despite at the end of the journey, getting an ATAR that was, not perhaps, the ATAR that was going to maximise options for guaranteed entry. Now, if there's anything we can do to help it out of Smart, get in touch. Our Pathfinder program directly supports students navigating the early entry journey, helping them craft their applications and really helping them showcase the co-curriculars that they have. So if there's any way that we can help you, we'd love to get in touch with us. But otherwise, as Tom said, whatever you do, don't give up really, really critically, because school is not the be all and end all, and there are plenty of alternate pathways into university.